The joys of modern technology. Can everyone hear me? Edward, can you hear me? Isha says yes, that's good. Let's see, so who we've got. Let me try and make sure that all our panelists are presenters. Okay, I think the only one it's Mike that isn't. We've got Hannah, and then we've got Edward. Right, well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Mike, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera off, please, buddy. Perfect. So, as I said, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 133rd session, and we've been doing these for almost 4 years now. The idea is quite simple. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top 3 reasons for that are 1, market fit, 2, running out of money, and 3, not having the right people. But guess what? When it comes down to it, there's only one thing that makes or breaks your business, and that is your ability to sell to enough people whatever product or service you have. Simple as that. Now, I've got three brilliant growth experts with us today. And by the way, we've had over 270,000 people that have joined us in almost 4 years. And none of that would have happened without people like Hannah, Edward, and Mike. So please feel free to show them your love and follow them or reach out to them via LinkedIn. If they want, they can actually both, all three of you, if you like, Edwards, Hannah, and Mike, if you want to put your LinkedIn profile URL in the chat, you're more than welcome to do so. And of course, the others are welcome to put theirs as well in a quick introduction. Now, here's how it's going to work out. For the next 56 minutes, we're here to take any questions you may have as you seek to grow your business. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that and help you grow it from 0 to hero. The way we work this is quite simple. I'll do a quick introduction of and reset of the conversation. Then we do introductions of the panelists. Then they'll probably give us their biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage growth. And then we'll take questions from yourselves. Now, we can only take questions from those of you that are here interactively, audio only, on Microsoft Teams. The way that works is you type your question in the chat, and then I give you the mic and you ask our fantastic panelists. For those of you that are tuning in via our live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So you would need to join us here on Microsoft Teams. The best way to do that is to either click on the link. So there's a link on all of those live streams that takes you directly to our Microsoft call. But if for any reason you can't get through that link, then just go to our website, startup2scaleup.club, and then look for today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 133. You click join there, few seconds registration, and Bob's your uncle, you're into our call here on Microsoft Teams. As far as today's questions are concerned, by the way, get them ready now. You can ask us anything to do with your business growth, whether it's user, vendor, partner, client acquisition, or perhaps sales, marketing, advertising, branding, growth hacks, or go to market, and all that jazz. There are no wrong questions, and there is no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Would like to encourage both founders in the room as well as our panelists to keep their questions. These are the answers to about a minute each, so that we can help even more founders today. And that is pretty much it. Just two quick announcements, I guess. Number one, we run 6 regular sessions helping founders. Mondays, it's talent. Tuesdays, it's product and tech. Wednesdays, as you can see today, it's growth. And Thursdays, tomorrow, it's fundraising with investors. Then on the second Friday of each month, we run one on UK startup law, so legals. And the third Friday of each month, we run one on UK startup finances. So from your bookkeeping to accountancy and taxing and so on. And that is on the third Friday of each month. All of these sessions are from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. And you can find them on our site, Startup to Scale Up Club, and RSVP to your preferred session. Once you're there, you may also want to join our WhatsApp group. There's a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of your site, of our site, sorry. And if you click there, you'll be part of our WhatsApp community and get alerts to all future rooms. And the last announcement is that we've launched our Startup of the Month competition, which is totally free to enter, by the way, and take part. And because it's smart, we are going to give this to a female founded startup. So if you go to our website, startup to scaleup.club, and then go to the menu and click on Startup of the Month, you can see the criteria and how you enter. But basically, the idea is that we will feature one lucky and amazing female founder, UK female founder, throughout all our sessions in March. That is 19 events. You'll get featured there. So hopefully you'll be able to expose your company to various investors, clients, collaborators, partners, co-founders, you name it. And that is a 1-minute recording that will be featured in all of these 19 sessions. By the way, your time is until Friday. So in 2 days' time, we close the competition, and then we will go on to the second stage, which is another week after that. Now, without further ado, I have spoken for the last, 6-7 minutes now. So we'll start with our quick introductions. And in that time, if my panelists also want to think of some do's and don'ts, whilst the audience may want to think of their questions, so start typing them in to the chat room, please. Now, my name's Anton Kool. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and accelerators. And lately, I've been helping some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. We can start with our lady of the house, then Edward, then Mike, please.
Hi, I guess that's me. I'm Hannah.
Indeed, I don't think it's Edwards.
No, I don't think so. So yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm a fractional CMO. So I work with a series of lifestyle consumer brands, mainly CPG, fast growth startups. They're either self-funded or VC or even kind of PE backed by the time I start working with them. And I split my time across London and LA. So I've kind of found myself in a bit of a niche supporting UK businesses that are growing and looking for new markets, such as the US or vice versa. I'm really focused on balancing brand and performance and looking at omni-channel infrastructure. So whether that's D2C alongside retail in the consumer space. Before I became a consultant, I worked with a series of startups in-house as their heads of marketing or brand. But prior to that, I started big corporate tech such as Casio and Huawei that people might have recognized.
So jealous. Thank you very much for that, Hannah. Edward.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Edward. I'm a Dutch guy who just moved out of the UK to Italy. I would call myself a sales guy, entrepreneur. Basically, we have a growth partner agency that helps small startups and scale-ups building a revenue machine, mostly after product market fit to generate revenue and actually close it. And sorry, and also I'm one of the co-founders of a AI-powered digital marketing outreach platform.
Well, thank you very much for that, Edward. Mike?
Hello, everyone. Great to meet you. My name is Mike. I'm based in London. I'm a super networker. I've been to more than 1,000 networking events in person in London. I love to connect people. I love to meet people. So I've built a network of more than 30,000 contacts. So people also call me a super connector. And I help other startups and entrepreneurs and business owners to build their network and start focusing their lead generation efforts on warm referrals and warm introductions instead of cold outreach. And so that's, I think, the message I'll be hopefully sharing with everyone today. If they've got any questions on lead generation, how to get responses to your emails, it's all about warm, focusing on these relationships. So that's it. I hope we're going to have an interesting debate today.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you, Hannah, and thank you, Edward. Really appreciate it. Where did you move to Italy, Edward?
When?
Yes, when and where, mind you.
Yeah, 3 months, and it's in the Parma province, Emilia Romagna.
I see. Now I remember. I feel So sorry for you, Edward. But you can keep rubbing it in, obviously, and make us feel even more jealous. But oh well, good old London. Right here. Well, thank you very much to all three of you for that. Whilst our founders are getting ready to type their questions in the chat, and those that are tuning in via the live streams, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, remember, we can't see your questions there, so you need to join us live here and interactively on Microsoft Teams. By the way, it's audio only. So click on those links there. If not, go to our site, StartUp to ScaleUp.club, and look for today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 133, to learn growing your business from zero to hero. I can see a few messages flashing up on my phone. Unfortunately, there's no point in you doing that because I can't monitor your questions now. So you need to come here on Microsoft Teams. Now, thinking of major do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage growth, maybe we can start with Edwards, and then Hannah, and then Mike, if that's okay. What would you say are your major do's and don'ts, Edward?
Yes, Anton. I think you probably already know what they are, but I'll just repeat them for here.
By the way, don't worry about repeating yourselves, because founders seem to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So
we've seen this, yes, correct. So from my perspective, it's one is don't be afraid to pivot. What that I mean is don't be too hung up on your original idea, and be ready to change the direction if the market dictates. Your customers will tell you what they need, and if you have to adjust your idea to accommodate that, that's the only thing that matters. Related to that, I would say my do is do launch as quickly as possible. If you're not embarrassed by your first version of your product after a couple of years, you basically launched or brought it out too late. The reason why this is so important is, again, customer feedback. You want to get customer feedback as quickly as possible so you can adjust or make your product fit as well as possible. So those are my two major do's and don'ts.
Thank you very much for that, Edward. Yeah.
And yeah, I think leading on from that, it's around kind of testing, learning, and optimizing. So whether that, in order to get to product market fit, or you might have got product market fit, it's then about, testing your messaging, your content, channels, and then kind of honing into what's working for you. And it's not always the same for every business. So I think this advice and things like this is great, but it is very much around testing and learning. And I think the other do is kind of just at that point, when you're in a startup and you're growing, is to stay really efficient. I think it's no longer kind of growing at all costs. It's like honing into the channels that are working and being really efficient with it. And so my don'ts is kind of counter to that is don't do too much or spread yourself too thin. So yeah, baby steps.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
So yeah, so I think the most important thing is to build your personal brand, because if you start reaching out to potential clients or potential prospects and they have no idea who you are or what you stand for, they're not going to be likely to want to interact with you or buy your product or service or have a conversation. So it's all about building your personal brand. I've seen lots of startup founders who don't focus enough on that. So that includes obviously revamping your LinkedIn profile to say what you to talk about what you stand for, your values, how you help people, and then posting content, so bringing value even before you even reach out to a single potential customer, so that you already have some content about your personal brand. So not so much your company page, but your personal brand, who you as a person. So when you do reach out to someone, they're going to check your LinkedIn profile, see who you are, and say, oh, I really want to speak to that person. They sound like an interesting person to talk to. So that's a do. The don't would be don't send cold messages where you explain your whole life story and what you do. I receive so many cold messages on LinkedIn or email where they send you a super long email describing everything they do, and at the end say, oh, are you interested? I mean, for me, that's the worst kind of cold email. So that's the don't do that. Instead of that, try, if you want to reach out to potential cold clients or send them a cold email, try to see who they're connected with on LinkedIn and reach out to one of those people if they could introduce you to them with a warm intro, and that makes a massive difference. But if you don't have that that luxury, and if you're going to send a cold email, then make it super short, like literally 10 words, to kind of make it a bit like a teaser. Say, hey, I've got this amazing thing I want to ask you. Let's have a chat, or something very short, kind of a bit of a teaser to make them reply. But don't describe your whole product or service to them. I mean, that's the worst kind of email. So again, that's the don't. And the do is build your personal brand and focus on warm referrals.
Well, thank you very much. Those are some brilliant points from all three of you, and really appreciate it. Isha in the chat has just typed a question there. Isha, I've just unmuted you, so if you want, you can just click on the mic and you'll be able to ask the panel. Please introduce yourself, where you are and what your business is quickly, and then fire away with that question, Isha. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Aisha Javed. I have started up a recruitment company called Recruitment Revolutionize, and we are in the marketing stage at the moment. So I'm putting out content. My question is, I am cold emailing people, but what can I do to make people reply back to me using the show me you know me email?
Thank you very much, Aisha. Aisha, two quick questions before I pass it on to the experts. Number one, where are you based? And two, what is your background, Aisha?
So I'm based in London in the UK, and my background is in law enforcement. So that's why I've used my company, which uses body language to interview people. And that's my USP.
I hear. That's interesting. And are you a solo founder? Do you have any co-founders, any other people in the company yet?
I'm solo co-founder.
Solo co-founder, very good. And this email, is this for potential clients that may need to hire people, or for potential candidates that you're trying to get on your books?
So for the clients I'm trying to hire, get me hired.
I hear. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, first and foremost, very well done on starting up your business. Two, I've started a few recruitment companies myself, and I've even done recruitment for both law enforcement, Met Police, College of Policing, as well as some other Home Office agencies. And I can say that you should have some really good sort of know-how in terms of what you've done so far, and that could come in quite handy. Although to warn you, that is going to be damn hard, because it's one of the hardest things to get into. But once you get there, it's really enjoyable. So very well done on what you've started. If I may, this is my personal view. Not everybody agrees with that, but cold emailing, yes, it does spread the word out there, but where you'll really benefit in terms of getting potential people is actually when we're talking about cold outreach, it's actually cold calls. We are talking at making 100+ calls every day if you really want to maximize your impact. But at the same time, as Mike will probably go into it a bit further than I am, you also want warm or semi-warm introductions. And a good way to do that, although unfortunately LinkedIn is quite saturated today, but still find people that you are connected to and have a mutual connection, and try and do that. But you definitely, to start with, Aisha, you want to start with people you know, because that first or second placement is really going to give you the fuel you need. And 99% that opportunity is going to come through people you know, rather than cold outreach. But in terms of giving you an exact answer for what you asked, i.e. email outreach, I would keep it very short and sweet, and I would try and make it somehow personable and actually seem like you have done some research on the company. Now, I know, when you're sending mass emails, which, by the way, I'm not a fan of, in my experience, they don't really work, but try and find a way to keep it very short, yet what's the words? Compile the email and the message in a certain way that looks like you've done the research. I hope that makes sense. But let's hear what the expert's going to say. So we'll start this one with Edward, then Hannah, then Mike, please. Take it away.
All right. So yeah, it's been touched upon already, but I don't think just sending cold outreach emails should be your only strategy. I'm a big fan of multi-channel campaign. So indeed, combine that with LinkedIn and cold calling. So that includes all the channels. So that's one. So that's the media. But then around the content, as also touched upon, it's all about hyper personalization. You mentioned yourself, show me you know me. So you need to put in the email that you've done your research and you understand what you're doing, who you're addressing, and what you could offer them as in value. Also already mentioned by one of our other panelists earlier on, where Mike basically said that, don't put your whole life story in that email. Keep it very short and sweet. Show them indeed that you know them, and then get to the point very quickly. Now, show them how you know them. You can automate that, and now with AI, you can get very, very good at personalization. There are tools that will help you enrich your lead list with personal data. You may need to do some research, but that's all there is to it. And the only thing I want to say to that is that's basically why we built that product that we're currently building.
Thank you very much for that, Edward. Yes, Hannah.
I think it goes back to kind of what I said about do's at the beginning around kind of testing and learning. So I think it really is when you're doing from purely from an email point of view, and I think it's about testing and learning. So kind of subject lines, the length. I know you probably don't want to give too much away too soon, but kind of an initial thought around recruitment fees. The biggest barrier is probably it's going to be expensive to a business. So I think you could be testing some offers to hook people in around your services and the way you operate. So I think it's that. I also think around what's already been mentioned around different multi-channel. So it could be that you pitch yourself to an industry publication to give some thought, some commentary, or you pitch an article. And I think if you could try and get some traction and credibility about yourself somewhere else, you can always use that then as a nice kind of follow-up to a cold email. So you're not just purely kind of pitching yourself, someone's doing it for you, and it shows kind of expertise and credibility in the space.
Yes, Mike.
Cool. Yeah. So I would focus also not just on emailing and calling people, but also on the in-person aspect. So if you're based in London, for example, there's literally 50 networking events in London every single week. So literally like loads and loads of events you could go to in person, meet people in person, and everyone you meet, ask them if there's an introduction you could make for them, and in return ask them, do you know anyone you could introduce to me, which is my target market or my target customer? So when you go to all these networking events, it's not about meeting potential customers at the events, because that never happens. It's more about people at those events you meet, build relationships, be friendly, laugh together, etc., and then ask them if they know someone in their network. And you'd be surprised how often I've gotten amazing introductions from people I've met in person at networking events. Even though when I met them, I thought they were not really relevant to me. They were not my target market, but they knew someone who knew someone, right? And this happens all the time. So my recommendation is definitely go to in-person events if you can, if you like to talk to people. And you know, there's so many events in London. You can find them on Eventbrite, or there's lots of other websites for that. And then back to the cold email thing. Again, I would not send 500 cold emails to random people. Like, maybe send very few cold emails to really, really targeted people, and try to do research about them so the message is personalized. And again, keep it super short, like less than, you know, 1 paragraph max, like really, really short. The email is not about explaining what you do. It's about starting a conversation. Say, hey, I'd love to get your take on this point. What do you think? Something like very, very short. And that will be much more successful than a super long email. And then the other point I would try to focus on is referrals. So if you can have like a paid referral program where if someone introduces you to a new customer, you know, you will pay them a 10% referral commission, or 5% or 20%, whatever you can. Again, to encourage other people to send you those warm introductions. So you can do that by just, you know, talking to people in person. Say, hey, if you introduce me to a customer, I'll pay you X. Or there's online tools for that. I built a tool myself called Intro Stars, which is a tool to build your own referral program in 3 clicks. There's other ones out there. Obviously, you don't have to use mine, but I want to really help people get those warm introductions. For me, it's all about warm intros. You know, we're all bombarded by cold emails. I get like 20 cold emails a day. I completely ignore them, and I'm sure you're the same. You know, everyone's the same. And so the only way to get through is to focus on trusted people, people you know. If I get an email from someone I know, I will read that email. If it comes from a random stranger, I will not read it, right? And so put yourself in the shoes of the person who's receiving your cold email. They probably receive 20 emails a day, same thing. So try to you know, get introduced by someone they know, see who they know. That will make a massive difference. That's a game changer, to focus on that indirect connection instead of trying to reach out cold. Again, I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, all 3 of you. Thank you very much for your question, Aisha. I hope you found it useful. But again, as somebody who has had a few recruitment agencies, I would definitely focus on that direct connection, and especially the cold calling. That is your bread and butter. Unless you are like a super connector who knows everybody and people will flock to you, your bread and butter, your savior in recruitment is your cold calling, i.e. you get on the phone all day long, in and out. That's how you're going to make it.
Anton, I would
go
beg
ahead.
to differ on that point. I think cold calling is dying a slow death. I think the response rates are crashing. Most people
That
are
is
not
true.
anymore.
But
So yes, you can be successful cold calling, sure, but the volume of calls you have to make is so huge. And so again, I would focus more energy on warm referrals, building relationships, etc., than spending all my time and energy on cold calls. I think it's a trend. Like, in the next 6 to 12 months, the response rate on cold calls are going to crash even more. Like, fewer and fewer people are going to pick up the phone. And so, yeah, I would beg to differ on that point, to focus so much of your time and effort on cold calls.
no, I totally agree that cold calls are a slow death. But unfortunately, when you've got a business and you've got bills to pay and you've got all these things, to simply wait, especially for somebody like Aisha who doesn't come from the industry, to simply wait until you get people through these connections, that would take time. So what I mean by that is to try and do it in conjunction, both the cold calling and also those direct connections. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
spend more time.
totally agree. Yeah, I
well.
totally agree as well. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I do believe that, yes, response rates are very low at cold calling, but unfortunately, especially when you are a startup, you need to start generating revenue as quickly as possible. And cold email and cold calling is one of the ways. Of course, you need to make it as efficient as possible. So hyper-targeting and hyper-personalization also on cold calling. Make sure that your calls are relevant, are key. But it is also one of the fastest way to get to revenue as well.
Well, thank you very much to all 3 of you, and hopefully you found that useful, Aisha. Please do feel free to join us. Would love to hear on your progress. Let's see, Moise, are you still with us? Let me see if I can unmute Moise, because he's asked a Moise had to leave, but nevertheless, we will I'll go through his question. I promised him I'd we'd get people to answer it. So Moise is working. Oh my God, I can't remember what he's working on now, because he's joined us a few times. But if you can see it in the chat, he's put in a question there and says, how can you evaluate leads are honest, or giving honest and valuable feedback, rather than just saying, yeah, it's good? So in general, by the way, if I remember, he's working on some kind of SaaS product. And his question is, how can you evaluate leads are giving honest and valuable feedback rather than just saying, yeah, it's good? Now, with this one, let's start with Hannah, then Mike, then Edward, please.
Oh, I mean, it is hard because that's just kind of human nature, different personalities of kind of how they respond to kind of giving feedback, and if they're able to give feedback. I think you know, the people that are going to kind of give you the most honest feedback are the ones that probably speak the loudest. So yeah, I find this a really hard one to evaluate. I think you have to kind of get as much data as possible. I think that's the only way to overcome that, to know really what the true perception is of your product. So I think for me, yeah, it's around having quantity, and then I suppose quality of people that have really explored the product, spent time with it, versus kind of a quick glance. So that's how you would be able to kind of evaluate.
So I would say, you know, if you can try to give them a carrot, dangle a carrot, that will be, you know, more, it will be an incentive for them to respond. So say, do you have 2 minutes to have a quick chat about this, or 5 minutes to do a quick Zoom call? In exchange, you'll get like an Amazon gift voucher or a gift card or whatever, just again, to make them go out of their way to spend a bit of time to respond to you and give you honest feedback. But yeah, it's difficult to engage your audience. Most people, again, are bombarded by requests all day long and they ignore you. So to get honest feedback from people, it's difficult. There's no magic way to do it. The way I do it personally is I go to lots of in-person networking events. And again, going back to that, if you live in a big city like London, and speak to people in person, right? Because there you've got a captive audience. They're in front of you. They can't run away. So that's why you can ask for honest feedback. Say, hey, you know, let's while we're having a drink here, I'd love to get your feedback about this topic. What do you think? And then they'll be happy to answer, right? So for me, that will be the best way to do it. Go to lots of in-person networking events and ask people there.
Thank you very much for that, Mike. Last but not least, Edward.
Yeah, I think most of it has been said. I think the only real way of getting honest feedback is to have a conversation with a potential prospect or lead or customer, and to really qualify that. So if they say it's good, and you can ask them, you know, what do you mean with good, and what do you think is so good of it? So then the question is, how do you get them on a call to give you honest feedback? Because indeed, surveys and review sites, they're only, you know, they're not doing it. So then it's really about establishing a connection between your brand and the prospect, and appealing to them to get on a call with you, and like suggested before, maybe offer something, whether it's you know, an Amazon voucher indeed for the time they spend, because it's valuable for you as well. Look at it as a marketing expenditure in order to get product feedback. So spend a little bit of money on it, or do something like we'll do a raffle on everybody that's getting on a call will give away one Apple iPad or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, a little bit of an incentive for people to go and speak with you, or here's another idea, is do it in a more structured way and do it as a product market research and reach out to these people and saying we're doing this, would like to get your feedback on certain ideas and maybe want to get some ideas from you of what we should build. So that is kind of put the appealing a little bit on their experience or expertise of the market, and playing it that way. But yeah, as I said, I think the only real way to do this is to get on a call virtually or in person, and do a discovery or a qualification.
Thank you very much to all three of you. This is pure gold. As far as my 2 pence in this, there's a few things. Number one, what you really want people to say, ideally, is not, wow, this is brilliant, but wow, this is good. Why hasn't somebody else done that before? That is the answer you're looking for. But to go in line with what my 3 amazing panelists have said, there's a few things in terms of practicalities that you can do. Number one, rather than start building things without talking to people, you should actually, and I think Edward lastly mentioned that, you should actually reach out to your potential customers and say, Hannah, Mike, or Edwards, this is what I'm working on. I'd love to pick your brains on that. Before you actually build anything or write a single line of code or anything, literally, reach out to these people, make a list. I don't know, if you're in B2B, make a list of 100 potential companies and then find those officers in that company. Or if you're in B2C, try and speak to, I don't know, 1,000 people, as many as you can, basically. And just say, this is what I'm planning to work on. I'd love to pick your brains. Now, if you reach out to 100 people, you'll probably only speak to 5 of them. So that's why hence, you know, the higher numbers. But the beauty of it is if you do reach out to 100 businesses, you only speak to 5, you get from them what is personal and what is problem solving to them and what you're building. And then you can always go back, because that is a warm lead. Then you can go back to them and say, hi, Hannah, we spoke a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago about what I'm working on. We've actually built this with you in mind, and I'd love you to give it a try, please. So that's, you know, in terms of the first steps. In terms of qualifying whether, you know, they mean what they say, there's a few things you can do. One, you want to get specific feedback from them. You want to get personal feedback, i.e., you know, this is the problem that this solves for me. And last but not least, and this is the important part, you want to get commitment. Of course, the ultimate commitment is for them to put their money where their mouth is. But that's not always the case. That can also be in a official letter of intent that they can write via email, and you can then use that when you're talking to other people. But basically, you want to get some form of commitment, and that is where the real sort of qualification kicks in. That would be my advice. Now, we are 19 minutes away, so I think we may have time for a couple more questions or so. So if anybody who is live here on Microsoft Teams would like to do that, please feel free to type it in the chat, and then I'll give you the mic to ask our panelists. This is Startup Growth Q&A. It's our 133rd session. We're here to help startups, hopefully, grow from 0 to hero, which means we're taking questions on anything to do with your business growth, whether it's user, client, vendor, partner acquisition, growth hacks, sales, marketing, advertising, branding, or perhaps go to market and all that jazz. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. If you're tuning in via our live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. So you would need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, and you can do that by either clicking on the link that is on all those live streams. Or if that's not working for any reason, just go onto our site, startup2scaleup.club. You'll see Startup Growth Q&A 133. You click on that, you click join, and then it's a couple of seconds registration, and then you'll be in to our session here in Microsoft Teams. Just a reminder, if your questions today are not on growth, please save them for the other events we run. We currently do 6 regular Q&As, Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of the month it's legal, and third Friday of the month it's finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup2scaleup.club. And actually a good thing to do once you get to that site is to also click on the WhatsApp icon, which you'll find at the top and bottom of our site, and join our WhatsApp group. That way you'll get alerts to all future sessions. Another thing we're currently doing, and I'm really excited, is the Startup of the Month competition. And being March, we're going to give that to a female founder in the UK. Basically, you'll be featured in all 19 events, Q&As that we run in March. And hopefully that will gain you exposure with the right investors, partners, co-founders, potential early employees, potential clients, and so on. And the deadline to enter the competition is on Friday at 6 p.m. So you've only got 2 days to go. And by the way, it's free. It's none of those, you got to pay to win a prize and get an award and all that stuff. This is totally free, and you'll get 1 minute of glory pre-recorded that will be shown in all our events in March. To do that, to enter that competition, is very simple in terms of criteria and process. Just goes to our site, startup2scaleup.club, look for Startup of the Month link, which is on the menu, and there you'll see how you enter it. Now, I guess without further ado, if people are being shy, we can go to another question. And if you scroll up a little bit, team, you'll see this question I've put in the right below Aisha's question that I put in the chat room. This was sent to us. So this is a fintech for small business invoicing. She's based in London. They're at seed stage. And the challenge she has is scaling growth. She says challenge, and then scaling growth is limited by customer education barriers. The question is, our invoicing platform for small businesses sees limited adoption because users don't fully understand the benefits of automation. How can we drive business growth by implementing education-driven campaigns such as workshops with industry associations, user success stories tailored to SMEs, and interactive tools that show potential savings? Additionally, how can we align these efforts with scalable acquisition strategies to ensure both education and growth occur simultaneously? Jesus, this is quite a mouthful. All right, team, are you able to read this? Shall we start with Mike, then Edward, then Hannah, please?
Absolutely. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning. It's all about building your personal brand. So I would recommend they start building their personal brand by publishing content every day or every 2 days about their topic. So their invoicing platform is all about automation. So start publishing every day a little bit about, hey, did you know you could automate your invoicing by doing this? And then the next day, hey, here are the top 10 tips to automate your invoicing, et cetera, et cetera. So by doing this consistently after a couple of weeks, they start to build their personal brand about that topic. And then once they've built that content over a couple of weeks, they can then start organizing webinars, which is free to organize. Just use Zoom or Teams, whatever, to do a webinar, a recorded webinar where they talk about that topic. And whoever is interested will join that webinar. And slowly over time, that will build their audience where on the one hand, you're educating customers, which is what they want to do to build themselves as the experts in that topic. And at the same time, it will attract potential new leads and customers truly interested in invoicing and automation. And so that would be the way I would do it. So again, it's not It's not something you do in 5 minutes, not a short-term strategy where in 5 minutes you're going to get leads. No, you have to build this over a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, where you consistently post content on LinkedIn or other socials, and then start organizing webinars, maybe go to in-person events to build that, read that knowledge base and build your personal brand as an expert in that topic. And whoever works in invoicing, will be attracted to you, will see your content, say, oh, I work in invoicing, this sounds interesting. And you start to build that, that expertise and that personal brand and that aura around that topic. So again, that would be my 5 cents.
Thank you very much
It's up to
for
me now,
that.
then.
Yes, please, Edward.
Sorry. Yeah, so I would take a step back first, and it's all about defining very clearly who is your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and what is your USP, your unique selling points, what makes you guys unique. You say it's automation. Automation in itself is not a USP. What does that mean in terms of benefits for the customer? What does it actually do? So is it saving them time? And can you quantify that? Saving them money? Or is it generating more revenue or reducing risk? Those kind of things that matter. So make sure that you have that clear, and then you can have a look at what do you need to educate them on and link them to your USPs and target them to your ICPs. And then go back to what Mike was saying. Then you can start looking at targeting these audience through targeted content, post on it, build your brand, but keep an eye on those USPs and educate your customers around that. What does it do for them? It's not so much about your product, but what does it do for them? What kind of benefits do your customers get out of it? So that's my 2 cents.
And for me, I think I would use a really good offer to find a small pool of customers for the platform and get them using it, trialing it, giving feedback, build a really kind of small, tight-knit, loyal users of the platform that love it, and then get them to tell their story, basically highlight the benefits, whether there's some of them be comfortable, whether it's just giving you reviews or actually any pieces to camera. I think because you're probably targeting small businesses that are quite active on some of the networking sites, so whether it's on LinkedIn, even more consumer-based businesses will be on somewhere like Facebook or Instagram. I think if you could get people kind of really highlighting the benefits like the other guys mentioned, but doing it not just you selling it as your business, but actually getting use cases, and then you can really easily find lookalikes of those people because it would resonate with them and they'd be like, yes, actually that would work for me. I could see myself using this.
Here, so the overall theme here is personalize it. Well, thank you very much for your brilliant input, all three of you. We've now got 9 minutes to go. I think we may have time for 1 or 2 quick questions. This is Startup Growth Q&A. If you're tuning in via our live streams, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we can't monitor your questions there live. So you'd need to join our live audio here on Microsoft Teams. There's a link to that on all of the live streams, but if that's not working, you can always go to our site, StartUp to ScaleUp .club. Look for today's session, which is Startup Growth Q&A 133. Click join, and it's a quick registration, and then you're in. By the way, if any of you are finding value in any of this, please feel free to share it with your networks, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you are. Basically, the more the merrier. Although we've had over 270,000 people that have joined us because we've changed platforms, unfortunately, lately a few times, I guess we need all the help we can get. So please feel free to spread the words. And now I'm going to go to one last question, probably in terms of those sent in. Okay, this is interesting. I'll put that in the chat room, team, if you want to read it, but I'll read it out loud for those that are tuning in via the live stream. So this is a direct-to-customer sustainable cleaning product in Bristol, or cleaning products. So they're doing more than one. They're at seed stage, and the challenge that they have is that current ad campaigns fail to generate strong engagement. Their question is, our sustainable cleaning product line isn't resonating in online advertising despite a competitive product and eco-conscious messaging. How can we design a targeted advertising strategy that leverages dynamic creative optimization, audience segmentation based on lifestyle data, and interactive ad formats to engage eco-aware consumers whilst addressing their specific pain points like affordability and product effectiveness? Oh boy, quite a mouthful. How about this? We go to Edward, then Hannah, then Mike, please.
Right. Yeah, business to consumer is not my forte, but I think what stands out to me here is if it's not engaging, i.e. not successful, then there are a couple of things that you need to consider. First, of course, is who you're targeting this to. Is it the right audience? And then secondly, is your message and your offer correct for that audience? Those are the elements that you need to play with if you're running ads. I think that's all I have to say to this at the moment. And it comes back to, again, what I said earlier, defining your ICP and your USPs, making sure that that is correct, and then you can target and create an offer that is compelling for your audience.
Here, thank you very much for that, Edward. Hannah?
So yeah, love CPG stuff. So for me, I think your biggest asset is your product. And normally in a startup, you're lacking in budget to really spend, as much as you can on advertising. It's an expensive way to acquire customers. The best thing you could do is get your product in the hands of some content creators, influencers. There's a lot of people in that kind of house lifestyle space that really focus in on cleaning and sustainability and that eco-conscious consumer. So I think I would go after those people, send product to them, get them trying it. And I think sustainability is great, and that'll get people to potentially convert. But I think it's a cleaning product at the end of the day, so people want to know that it works. What is the smell like? Does it actually clean? And so I think if you can get people using the product that people relate to, that they deem credible, then that's your best piece for getting reviews. So similar to what I said in the last answer, but I really think it's fundamental. Then you can use some of that content in your ads, and I think your ads are more likely to be efficient. And I wouldn't worry too much around like your targeting and your audience segmentation, because actually Google and Meta is amazing these days, where you can use things like Advantage Plus and PMax, where it basically optimizes for you based on who is engaging, and it finds more of those lookalike audiences. So unless your budgets are massive, you're probably not going to be segmenting yourself. You'll be letting the platform do it for you.
Thank you very much for that, Hannah. Last but not least, Mike, please.
Yeah, the problem is I think we are submerged by so many direct-to-consumer ads for so many consumer products. And so you really need to stand out. I would focus, I haven't seen your ad campaign, obviously, but I would really focus on making it super cheeky, super over the top, super crazy, and really go guerrilla marketing, like really something a bit crazy, out of the ordinary. If you just show your product in action, it's really boring. There's way too many consumer products out there. So my advice would be to make sure your ad campaign is super over the top crazy, like really make people stand out, like, wow, this is crazy, I need to click on this, right? And so it has to be really over the top, American style. I would focus on that. And then I would join back what Hannah just said about using influencers to talk about it. I mean, that's kind of the obvious one, but I would focus a lot of efforts working with influencers to review your product, so how amazing it is, and do comparisons. Now, again, there's so many cleaning products. If you go to the supermarket, so you need to compare, say, these are the 10 top products in the market. They're all crap, and ours is better for this reason. And focus on that. I think that will make you stand out, so that every advertising pound or dollar you spend will be effective.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is pure gold. The only three things that go in line with what you've said, all three of you have said, is obviously, you know, be niche and kind of be really clear about your sort of value proposition. Number two is I really love kind of the sort of standing on the shoulders of giants approach. Find somebody who's already got that client base and but don't have those products you have. Find a way to work with them. Last but not least, content marketing can be quite good, and you can be really bold, like I think Mike mentioned. You know, produce content that showcases you're a specialist, but at the same time, actually trash talk the others, how bad they are and how good what you have is. I know it's, you know, not very conventional, but at least it gets your name out there. Last but not least, retargeting. Although Hannah said it's, you know, it's not perhaps a good thing to do now, if I understood you correctly, Hannah. But I think retargeting, i.e., when, I hope I'm using the right term, I think that's what it is. So if somebody has looked at your site or your product somewhere, you want to chase them when they go to another platform and showcase your ad. Right, we are 1 minute away, so we've only got a few seconds. Let's start with the lady of the house, then Mike, as it's his first time, then Edward. What are your parting words? And your 30 seconds of glory start now, Hannah.
Well, it's just been great to be on here again. Really enjoy these sessions, learn a lot, really makes me think. So hopefully it's been helpful for everyone. I think my parting words really are to, again, start small, test and learn. And I think there's been some really great advice from everyone. So yeah, just keep going, keep at it, because the more you plug away, you'll find something that just unlocks that growth for you. And then you'll be onto a win.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Hannah. Mike.
My parting words would be spend more of your time and energy networking in person if you can, if you're in a big city, and then send introductions to other people, help them, so that in return, you get some great warm referrals and introductions as well. And focus on a referral program. So reward other people who send you good referrals. You know, I think that's always great, so that you focus more of your energy and efforts on these warm referrals, which will always work better than a cold email or cold call. So that's my parting advice. Focus on in-person networking and warm referrals. That's it.
Here, thank you very much, Mike. And Edward, last but not least, buddy.
Yeah, all right. So I think my parting words for today is keep at it. Yes, it is a grind. There are no shortcuts, but you will get there if you're being persistent and doing the right things, and enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate all three of you. Today was some serious gold advice. Today was some. Edward, would you mind muting yourself, because it's creating an echo for me for some reason? Thank you. So today was great advice from all three of you, and I really appreciate you all. Thank you to everyone that tuned in, especially those of you that were here on Microsoft Teams and asked questions, but the others as well. Now, just a quick reminder, two things. Number one, we run 6 regular sessions: Monday style and Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of the month UK startup law, third Friday of the month UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, StartUp to ScaleUp.club. When you're there, you may also want to click on the WhatsApp icon, top and bottom of the site, and join our WhatsApp group, and therefore you'll get alerts to all future events. On the other hand, I'm really excited about our Startup of the Month competition, especially this one in March, because this will be given to a female startup founder in the UK, and that means you'll be featured in all 19 sessions we have in March. To enter the competition, which is very simple, you need to go to our site, startup to ScaleUp.club, click on the menu and find Startup of the Month there, and you'll be featured in all 19 events that we have in March, and gain exposure to potential investors, co-founders, early stage employees, advisors, and hopefully clients as well. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember, the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, hopefully see you all. We've got some brilliant investors tomorrow at 12 o'clock at noon. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for that and the others that follow. Thank you and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now.